Welcome to episode 4 of Strange Brau Radio. I'm your host, Tobe Johnson. It's great to be back. Great to talk to you about all things out of the box, on the fringes. And this time from the pub itself, again with a couple of different guests. I'll explain more in a moment. But first, as always, thank you to our sponsor, Feral by Aaron at Etsy.com, ERYN at Etsy.com. We're talking museum quality drums, rattles, smudge sticks, made right there in the beautiful Olympic Peninsula. Go to Etsy, check out her stuff, review it, rate it, like it, share it, order it. It helps us get the pirate ship a-moving, and that's what we got here. We got a little tiny pirate ship. All right, our next guest coming up. Well, you won't want to miss this interview here. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Be right back, folks. Today's guests are going to be unfolded this way. We're going to have people talk to you straight from the field or inside one of the pubs that we do interviews out of. So if I haven't said this before, you'll hear the ambient sounds of the fireplace, or maybe a musician, or the waitress coming up near the table there. But I think our mic placement is good enough to where we don't drown out the story or the retelling of what's happening here. And I think that's the case for our first witness here, who wanted to remain anonymous, and we always respect that. And so enjoy this story here. I think this gentleman saddled up to the pub a lot earlier than I did that afternoon, and well, I'll let him do the talking. Here is the anonymous cryptid story.
And we're like, let's go investigate, like dumb shits.
Right.
So we head around the fucking lake in the middle of the night. Oh, by the way, it was a full moon.
Yeah.
And it was going from white or yellow to blood red.
Right.
And back to white and black to blood red. Like, something's going on. So everyone gets skittish halfway around the lake. And I decided I don't want to fucking go over there just to hoot and holler back at the echo, because it was drunk and dumb. Didn't get that far because like something was tracking me through the fucking trees, and it got so bad that I was like, really? And you could just feel it, you know. And I was like, because I wanted to surprise my friends, so they all took off. I was alone. So I go, okay, this is too much. No, back. We get back there, and our car's parked like a half mile away from our campsite. So we get back up there, and I'm like, I just, go. And we get up into the fucking, like, the blood moon is, like, shining on me, and it's, like, gravel road intersection. And I heard the thing fucking walking along with me the whole way over into the woods. Like, he didn't want to come out into the, road. Like, he just walked along me into the gnarly bushwhack. And I get up there and I go, what the? I obviously notice it. So I'm like looking and I go, what? And then the most unbelievable thing happened. This thing must have jumped 12 feet in the air, grabbed about at least a 6-inch fucking log out of a branch out of the tree. Like you can hear the vibration when you hear a 6-inch branch snap. Okay. Crack. That's what they do. That lets you know that they're way fucking stronger than you. fucking pulled something down halfway up a tree, cracked this fucking log like this big, man. Snapped it. And went, what are you gonna do now? And I was like, nothing. So I fucking just shivered up in the middle of the road, man. I was just like, go on your business, man. Go. I can't compete with that. So, you know, I stood there for a long time, and then it was like a long silence. And I knew he was staring at me, and I was just trying to like shun it, you know, just like, I got no beef with you, man. And gradually I learned how to like crawl. This took 15 minutes, man. Over to a tree where I just hugged it. And then finally there was a silence. So I ran down the road, man. I ran. And I come up the backside of my buddy's campsite somehow, running in fear. And they all got spooked because they heard me running and they didn't understand what I just went through. So they all hid in the tents, and then I said, no, we gotta go. So we went back to the car and we left. And once we started the car, we just abandoned all the tents, by the way. Abandoned. Once we started the car, it became clear because on the radio, they started saying, hey, it's the Aubrey Hill fire in Bend, Oregon. The whole fucking nation's burning. Therefore, there's Bigfoots running through the forest. And then, if that weren't enough confirmation, then the next morning, we were driving down some old country road. And I go, oh, something's running right at our car. It's a fucking horse. It ripped out of this fucking thing. And it's bleeding all over. I'm not joking, dude. We were driving down in a Jeep. And we're like, dude, do you see that? Yeah. We just kind of slowed down to a stop. And we're all sitting there and going, the fucking horse was galloping, just raged, bleeding everywhere because it ripped out of its fucking
bit.
Yeah. It fucking, because it was a forest fire, dude. It fucking freaked out. And it was just running down cars. It was plain.
So you think maybe the Sasquatch that you encountered was on the run?
Oh yeah, he was fucking. Actually, the way I look at the whole Sasquatch thing is, since he didn't touch me, he was actually protecting the people. You know, I think that he actually was warning us because we didn't know there was a fire. It was a forest fire. Aubrey Hill fire. Big fire. And the moon was going red, white, red. And so the Sasquatch actually was more of a protector.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a great story.
Yeah. And then as we made our way out, we couldn't even get to Bend because the U.S. Forest Service shut down all the fucking roads because it was a big fire. And so we had to do, like, because I had a Jeep, then we knew how to, like, you know, get around their blockages, and we got at Bend, and we saw all these horses, like, just galloping through the woods, and I mean, not to mention Sasquatch.
Well, there you have it, folks. That was our first anonymous witness, and he's talking about an area I know pretty well, and so therefore I lend a lot of credit for him for coming forward and talking about it. You make up your own mind. You can get a hold of me and talk about each and every story, encounter, witness at Strange Brau Radio at gmail.com. Our next guest is Jackie Tonks. She came in for our live events we do every second Saturday of the month in Cottage Grove, Oregon at the Axe and Fiddle. You got to be there to be a part of it. Jackie was a part of it, and anyway, it's one heck of a presentation. The audio quality is really good on her end, but you'll hear me reaching for the microphone a couple times as we go along here. Live, pre-recorded, I guess now, from the Axe and Fiddle. I give to you Jackie Tonks.
So Jackie, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with this, and how long you've been invested in the paranormal and poltergeist.
Investigations, I've probably started them about sort of 10, 15 years ago. But as a child, about 8 years old, I had a rather spooky encounter going into a friend of my granddad's house, and that got me interested. And then loads of different things. I've had some weird things happen. I don't know whether I'm sensitive or not, but I was working in a medieval building on a suicide helpline, and this building goes back to the 13th century. And I was sat there one night waiting for the phones to go, and I suddenly had an icy wind go past me, and I had a sentence of Latin said in my ear as clear as a bell. And that really freaked me out. I thought, what is that? And that was one of the things that really started me into being really interested in this.
And how old were you when you heard the Latin?
I was about, I'd be about 35 years old, yeah. This was in my adult years, yeah.
So that was is that what got you started in this, or did you have a family tie to this beyond that kind of piqued your interest?
No, not family. It's just I've always been interested in, as a child, I used to watch paranormal stuff. I don't know whether you've ever shown it in the USA. We used to have RC clocks, Mysterious World.
No, I've never heard of that.
No, it was like a bit similar to the, I'm just trying to think of the similar ones you might have had. You used to have that one presented by Leonard Nimoy, didn't you? It was a bit similar to that.
Right, In Search of.
Yeah, very similar to that. So that got me interested, but it wasn't until I started having my own experiences that I really got into it. Yeah. And I started Devon Paranormal with a load of work colleagues. We were working in this building in Kingsbridge in South Devon in England. And it was one of them, if you didn't believe in ghosts when you started working there, you did at the end. We used to lose a cleaner every month. It was that haunted, yeah.
Wow. So, you and I had a chance to speak, and I don't have that video queued up there, but it seems like maybe the paranormal has kind of followed you around. Do you find that that's generally true, that once you start looking into this, that you kind of have, something follow you from, house to house?
I think if you're definitely interested in them, you will get more activity. I don't know whether that's because you're attracting them, whether they know there's a listening ear, as it were, or whether it's, I don't know really, or whether it's you're looking for it. Because if you're looking for things, you're going to see them, aren't you? So, I think that's part of it.
All right. Well, you do a lot of things besides looking to the paranormal and poltergeist, but you have some places that you go in particular. Describe some of these, investigations you've been a part of, maybe some of the equipment you use, and what kind of results you've got.
So I'm just going to go through the places here. I've got one I've done. I don't know whether we managed to get the video up for that, the Carrick Barton pub. Did we? I'm not too sure whether we got the video for that one yet up. Or?
No, we didn't get that one. We have the ones that we discussed earlier there, and that's the Fort Woodley one.
Okay, yep. Okay, I'll talk about the pub first. Basically, that one, it's a sort of 16th century pub, and it's made out of the remnants of a monastery that was destroyed by Henry VIII. I don't know whether anybody knows much of English history, but he sort of, he wanted to divorce, and I'm sure you've seen this on programs, he wanted to divorce. So he basically created the Church of England and then destroyed a lot of them, the Catholic monasteries. And this was one of them. So the pub's actually made out of the stones, and there are bits of the monastery still in there, you can clearly see. And it's my local pub, and it's actually one of the most haunted pubs in England. And I've been in there for meetings, various things I've been to there, and we've had doors flying backwards and forwards to the point where we've been screaming at the ghost to stop, because it's almost like people are really used to it. We have a door handle that comes up and down, and basically when you're investigating, you try to debunk. I don't know whether anybody's heard of Occam's razor. Philosopher's principle, you always look for the most basic explanation first. So when we're investigating, we try to debunk it. So we're looking at this door handle, what could be causing that? So we checked, is there a draft? Is there anything else that could be moving that? Is it the door hung in a funny way? So we debunked that. There was nothing like that. And it constantly happens. So 6 of us all stood in front of the door handle there and said, we know you're there. We know you're a ghost. Do you mind doing that again? No, nothing had been happening for a couple of days. And we asked it politely to do the door handle again. As we watched, there were 6 of us, and 4 of us could see it. The other 2 were at the wrong angle. A plasma ball of light came out of the chimney, went towards the door handle, and it went down 3 times, at which point our voices went very high because we were all a bit freaked out. And then we asked it to do it again. It did it another 3 times. And again, we said thank you. And the plasma ball just then went back into the chimney. And sadly, we didn't film it, which is like a lot of these things. We weren't expecting it to do it. It was a bit of a shock to all of us. But that was one of the best things I've ever seen. We've got 2 ghost monks there. Sometimes you can see a slight misty effect. When they're there, you can feel them standing behind you. We've had people who can see ghosts, and I had one. I sensed the monk behind me, and my friend walked in the room and said, "You've got a monk behind you." And I said, "I know." And as I felt it moving away, she just said, before I even said that, it's just going. It's gone through the wall, and I could actually feel it moving away. So that's good if you get confirmation, multiple people saying the same thing. There's also a depressed man there. If you walk into an area where he is, you feel instantly depressed. If you walked out, your mood lifts, and you can literally go backwards and forwards and feel your mood change. And multiple people have got him. A good thing to do with these investigations is to go in cold. So you don't know, you try not to research what's there. Because if you're told there's a white lady, you're going to see a white lady. Your brain will create it, especially when you're tired at night. And it's obviously good to do investigations at night, not because you don't see ghosts in the day. You're just as likely to see them in the day. It's just that there's less noise disturbance, and orbs are going to show up better. Illuminated orbs are going to show up better at night.
So you're saying at night, do it because the evidence shows itself better technically?
Yeah, I mean, there's less noise disturbance. You can have less car noise. I often do things at like 2, 3 in the morning. So you've got less noise disturbance. A lot of birds are roosting as well, so you get less noise from the birds, or they might get owls, which can cause a certain sounds. Also things tend to show up a bit better as well. Although with coal spots, you can just get drops in temperatures if you're using a thermal. It's going to be colder, so that can be a bit deceptive at times.
I should probably ask you too to explain what your definition of a poltergeist is, because I understand it may shift from investigator to investigator, but when I think of poltergeist, I think of the movie. I think of the way things were moved around, apportations. Is that Is that what your understanding of poltergeist is? And what's the difference between that and something like a ghost that doesn't really necessarily know it's dead or something?
Well, the exact translation from the German is rumbling ghost. We often think it's noisy ghost. It's actually rumbling. It's a polter is a noise similar to thunder or walking up a stairs. That's what my German friend says. So I'm thankful for that one. That's the exact definition. Poltergeists, they can do a variety of things. They can make noise. They can push you. They can, I've had commonly one you get is cutlery twisted. When you've got a poltergeist around, you'll actually go into your cutlery drawer and see things are like twisted that shouldn't be, and get things thrown. You also get things like thrown and they'll be hot when you touch them. You get all sorts of activity, cold spots. The real definition of the poltergeist and ghosts are very similar. The thing with the poltergeist, it doesn't have to be a spirit. There's some of the evidence that poltergeists can be from living people. There's been some, it's quite common for it to be around adolescents, especially girls. There seems to be something to do with psychic energy that seems to die down when they're out of their adolescence. I had a friend who had poltergeist activity in a house, and she'd always had poltergeist activity wherever she went. And she did have, some mental health difficulties, and I don't know whether her distress was causing the activity. Every single house she'd lived in for the last 3 times, there was poltergeist activity. So that was quite interesting. It seemed to all trace to her, unless she was such that she was attracting stuff. So that was quite interesting.
So, in the movie, Carol Ann was obviously the victim. So the idea of there being a little girl is a common thing.
It tends to be adolescence, though. Seems to be something to do with the sort of the having to go through all the adolescent angst and everything. I think seems to be something that to do with that particularly. And with the famous Enfield poltergeist, there was an adolescent girl who was the focus of that as well. And that was witnessed by police officers a lot. I know people have said they feel some of it's made up and some of it might have been, but, definitely, there was some definite activity that was even seen by, reliable witnesses. A police officer would be seen as a reliable witness.
The Enfield case is well known in our circles, but tell the audience a little bit about the Enfield case and why that's important.
It was a house in London, and I don't know the exact period. I think this went on for quite a few years. And there was a girl there. It was very controversial. It was felt that it might have been the girl herself, the family faking this, because they got a lot of publicity. But, the girl was even like levitating, thrown across the floor. Objects would get thrown through a wall and appear in next door's house. There was all sorts of really weird. She got quite badly hurt at times. She got bruised. She got thrown against the wall, and she was talking with the voice of a very old man. He seemed to be, possessing the vocal cords. Some experts said there's no way a girl could have been producing that deep sound. It would not have been possible, a girl of that age, to produce a voice like that. So it was very controversial, but very interesting case. And there's been a lot of sort of documentaries on it, recreation sort of films as well. So,
right. And there's another famous UK case too, where they studied paranormal activity almost very regularly to the point where they were able to collect I think, even handprints like dipped in wax and things like that. I don't know if that was the Enfield case or not, but there was a long-term study that happened in the UK. It may or may not have been that case, but...
Is that the one? Because there's one, I've actually handled the letter. There's one that there was actually a letter from the poltergeist, written by the poltergeist.
Right, like it would write out its message to people.
That's the one. I've actually held that letter Alan Murdy, I don't know whether you've seen his writings in the Fortean Times. He's actually a barrister, and he's head of the Ghost Club in London. I think Charles Dickens used to be a member of. And he was going to the toilet once, and he said, "Please, can you hold this letter? Don't lose it. It's a letter from a poltergeist." And I've never, ever had that said to me before. It's weird stuff.
What do you think about holding possible haunted objects? You know, I've seen people do it before, but it's interesting because they'll put on gloves, right, before they touch it, or they'll put it behind glass. What's your opinion on that as far as using glass on haunted objects and it actually working?
I don't think the glass would work, to be quite frank. If it can go through a wall, I don't think glass is going to stop it.
So behind you, you've got quite a few things going on, Jackie, so I'm going to bring some of them up. You've got antlers, you've got masks, you've got...
Oh, yeah, I've got something that's giving me horns at the back.
So you're a world traveler. Like, you've been to Tibet. You were in Tibet when they had the big earthquake.
Nepal. Sorry, yeah, Nepal. Yeah, I was in the earthquake. That was pretty scary. Yeah, I was there to film. My friend had got funding to film a documentary on shamanism. We're filming Mohan Rai, who's the top Hindu shaman. Absolutely wonderful guy. Suddenly died the other year. But we were there to film him, and sadly I got stuck in the earthquake. So.
Right. Now, some of the objects that you brought back from your world travels, what do you do as far as, like protecting yourself from what may be imbued in them, or do you worry about that?
Not really. A lot of the things I've got some proper shamanic pieces, the owned by shamans, but they're sort of tend to be Lama shamans, sort of quite good energies. So I know there's some things, and my friend sells, proper shamanic pieces, and he had a Kali necklace. It was all like skulls, and you're not meant to, work with that unless you really know, to protect yourself, because it's not an evil energy. I don't think it's just quite a strong energy. And he was selling this stall, and a woman stole it, and he wasn't that worried about the fact it had been stolen, despite the fact it was £600 worth, about sort of $800. But he was more worried about what the hell was going to happen to this woman when she got it home. You do get some really powerful pieces, and, we just imagine this woman waking up with, things hitting her on the head with hammers. He was terrified of her going home with this, but we never found her. So I hope she was okay.
Right. When you were speaking about poltergeists earlier, twisting cutlery, that seems to be something that, people like Uri Geller practice too, the spoon bending and working with kitchen utensils. What do you think the connection is with, small utensils and bending utensils?
I don't know. I was always going off subject a bit. Kieran O'Keefe from Most Haunted, the psychologist on that. I don't know whether people get that in the USA. He's a sort of parapsychologist, and he said he was always a bit dubious about whether Uri Geller could really do it. And then they had him on Most Haunted, and all the cameramen were going, bend a spoon, and he's going, oh no, I don't do that anymore. And Kieran thought, I can't really do it. And then suddenly he did it, and he said he had his eyes completely on him, and he said he was really doing it. And the hotel by the end, I'd say, no more, all our cutlery is wrecked, So he really can do it. As Kieran said, it was amazing, and it was hot. Really hot after he touched it. But, I think it's probably something they can do. It's probably there's things they can do to show their presence. I didn't even realise it was when I was living in a haunted house in a place called Chudley Knighton. It's old barns that were converted into cottages. And little did I know when I moved in that it was used as an army hospital in the Second World War. Supposedly a lot of the mock D-Day was actually done in near Kingsbridge. I've gone off the screen, I see.
Oh, you go ahead, keep talking.
The mock D-Day was actually, the trial D-Day was actually done on a beach not far from Kingsbridge in Devon. Blackdown Sands, and he's still there.
You're fine. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. Was back, and basically they've only revealed this the last 15, 20 years. There was friendly fire. They originally said there was a German U-boat actually out seeing it was, and they'd actually using real live ammunition for the mock D-Day, and they got their guns a little bit too low, and they killed loads of their men. The sea was basically red. I was actually friends with the D-Day piper, who's in the film The Longest Day. I knew him before he died. He's one of our locals. And, he said the sea was blood red. And there was some horrific injuries from this, those who did survive. And the place I was living in was supposedly one of the army hospitals. So that's quite interesting. That might have been, mock D-Day,
right.
Sort of soldiers in there. But that was so. I used to get really weird things that happened there. I'd sit in one spot and I could see images in my head of a Second World War France, which was really bizarre. And I knew other people who tried it, and they were getting the similar things. I used to have my dog corner something that I can see. Something pushed my parrot across the top of the cage like an invisible finger. I used to have the kettle turn itself on. Something used to brush my hair, put its hand on my head. Something would run past to the point your hair would literally lift up like this. And I had a couple of other people experience that, literally scream. That was quite weird. And when they had the D-Day anniversaries on the television, I had all banging, knocking, all sorts of activity. It was very, very strange that. I didn't even know it was haunted when I moved in.
Yeah, I found the video here. So what you're about to see is a pre-interview I did with Jackie from last week. And I want you to watch from her right shoulder to her left shoulder. Now, mind you, how cold is it in the UK right now? I mean, is it below 40?
It's about probably just about below zero tonight, so just above. It's quite cold, yeah.
Really cold. But you do have a bird, and birds have feathers, or there could be dust involved here. But I want you to watch this video here. Jackie, you'll be able to see it too. Do you see this right here?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
All right, let's hope this works. Let me hit play. Okay, do you see that at all? Okay, keep watching. See how it moves quicker? Okay, she's not speaking. Okay, now watch from her shoulder here. Now I reverse the image here so you can see it a little bit crisper. All right, so that's the kind of, I don't know, what do you guys think? Any opinions, Jackie, after seeing that again? Much to do about nothing, or is that a traditional orb?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen any insects in here for months. It's quite cold, as I said. Right. I don't think it's an insect. The feathers off my parrot tend to move down in a certain trajectory, so I don't think personally don't think it's a feather. It's a difficult one. It does respond to my breath one of the orbs, there's two, isn't there? There's two on this shot. But one of them, as soon as it gets near my mouth, it moves off in a different direction. Now, insects that's how mosquitoes find you. They tend to detect the CO2 you're breathing out. So obviously they can detect things in breath. It could be something moving out my way because it's, detecting the CO2. I don't know. It's a difficult one. Usually when you get insects, you get, especially they've got wings, you'll see little ellipses. So you'll get a little ellipse for the back, you'll get a couple for the wing, because the digital camera's sort of putting it all together in a certain way. I don't see that there, but it could be dust. I don't think so. I mean, the way we dust to show it isn't, you get that effect in the front of the camera with dust that makes it look larger than it is and can illuminate it. If it goes behind you, that's, or behind an object that you're filming, that's a pretty good sign it isn't that effect, because it wouldn't go behind anything. But, it's a difficult one.
Jackie, we're winding down to the last minutes of our show here before we go to our break, but I do want to open the floor to questions. Do you mind?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yes, Francis, scream it out there. Oh. Now, when we did that video, Jackie, you didn't see what I saw, but is that correct?
No, I couldn't see the thing behind David. That's David Wells from Most Haunted who was talking. No, I couldn't. This is the thing. The more I look, the more I spot on these films, you know.
No, I mean, when I shot your video.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the David Wells one. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't see it at all. No. I mean, I have seen orbs. I have seen very bright ones right in front of me, you know, but I couldn't see that one, no.
Right. Anybody?
I wasn't looking for it again, you see. If you're looking for stuff, you're more likely to see it, so.
Right. Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious when I saw it there. I thought maybe your bird was going to fly into the picture because it was such a crisp image. What kind of projects do you have coming up, Jackie? I know that you're planning stuff years in advance. Are you coming stateside?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's got any a haunted house to investigate, I'd love to investigate one, and I'll come over for Bigfooting, as you know, Toby. I've made friends with Brian Sterling Veet. I don't know whether anybody's seen him on Paranormal Network, and he's also did an accidental investigation in the home of Robert Brown, who was the person who inspired the Pilgrim Fathers. They were then called Brownists, but they're later called Pilgrim Fathers. And he was just doing a historical documentary, and he's found that the place they're investigating, the old home of Robert Brown, is really haunted. So he's, you know, looking to possibly, he's done some filming on that. He's looking to do some filming on that and might help with some of that. And also in Cornwall, I might join him as well, because there's some pubs down there. They've got amazing activity there, glasses just levitating, and he's already got some film of that. So, you know, that looks quite some interesting stuff there.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Everybody give Jackie Tonks a round of applause.
All right, that was Jackie Tonks again from the UK, up incredibly late. Staying up in the wee hours of her morning to talk to the fine folks there. And along the way, there was some incredible stuff that happened off camera. Actually, it was on camera, but you can't exactly see it from your lens. So I'll put the video up at Strange Brau YouTube channel. Again, if you have an encounter or you'd like to talk about something outside of the box and actually meet with me up at a pub, we could do that, especially if you're within, you know, the local Pacific Northwest area. Get a hold of me at strangebrowradio@gmail.com. Also, can't do this show without our sponsor. That is, again, Feral by Aaron at Etsy.com. Go on there, rate, review, and let us know that you're looking at our sponsors here. It's how we make things happen. All right, I wanted to mention one other thing before we get out of here. We have tickets on sale right now for our Sasquatch, Secrets of the Sasquatch meeting. We have a Valentine's special. That's right. Sasquatch for Lovers. And you can check it out. I think it's like $99 for 2 days hanging out with the likes of Ron Moorhead and Tom Powell and Kirk Sigurdsson and Joe Hauser and myself and Carrie Campbell. So there'll be probably some surprise guests too. Check that out. We also have our William Becker Psychic class. It's in August. You can go to Paranormal Insights or go to strangebrau.com, BRAU, folks. You can check it out on our 2019 ticket events. That is still available. I think we have 20 seats available for that. All right, every Monday, folks, that's how we're going to do this show. Look forward to being back with you relatively soon. I guess that would be 7 days from now. Stay warm, and as always, we will see you in the trees.